World food. Food crisis is global warming's biggest threat. We're feeding 6.7 billion people with the same acreage as after World War II. We were feeding about 2 billion people. And we're doing it through tenfold increase in petrochemical fertilizers. Glacier melt and lower aquifers are predicted to lower grain production by 25% just when we need 30% more. Irrigation per person is decreasing, seafood catch per person is decreasing, and global grain production, 10 years ago at the end of the year, we had 180 days reserved just in case there was a bad year. Right now, without climate change, that's down to 45 days. World energy in 1970, today, we're using double the energy we were using in 1970. There's only about 1 billion people in the world that live like we do, that have air conditioning, drive a car, have a nice place to live. There's 1.6 billion people that don't even have electricity. They're completely off the grid. And the rest of the world is somewhere in between. Now, years ago, after World War II, the people in between, they didn't know how other people lived. There wasn't the internet, there wasn't TV, you couldn't really see. But now, they know how we live, and they want what we have. And therefore, the governments, if they want to stay in power, have to keep trying to give them, have to keep trying to uplift their people out of poverty to have our lifestyle. And we can't blame them. Now, if only China is successful, we would double our world energy requirements with a constant population. And if China and India were successful, it would triple. And if all the developing countries were successful in bringing everybody up to our level, the energy use would go up by a factor of 11. Now, obviously, that won't happen, but you can see the pressure that's going to be on energy. G7 countries, and this is the greenhouse gas emissions per person. Germany is a bit the highest. There's a big manufacturing area in Germany and through France, but they're all more or less even. United States, basically double. Canada, we're basically right along with them. And where do we come from? You can see all the provinces, and there are two provinces that stand out, Saskatchewan and Alberta. It used to be called the tar sands. It has been renamed in the last few years to the oil sands to make it a bit more palatable to people. The energy that you get out of a liter of oil from the tar sands, a third of that energy has been lost in producing it. Not only that, for every liter of oil, there's 1.3 liters of toxic waste that's being held in tailing ponds. They have leaked into the Athabasca River. The cancer rate along the natives of the Athabasca River has gone up, and there's a bit of noise going on with respect to that. Al Gore owes us an apology, according to Thomas Friedman. Now, don't get me wrong, Al Gore has done a lot. He has taken a subject that nobody wanted to think about, talk about, and through an inconvenient truth, he's brought it into our consciousness. But Friedman wants him to say, I'm sorry, I want to apologize, I completely underestimated global warming. Why does he say that? All the indicators are that this climate change is happening faster than even the most pessimistic scientists were anticipating a couple of years ago. Barack Obama. Pachauri, who's the chair of the IPCC, says if there's no action before 2012, it's too late. What we do in the next 2 to 3 years will determine our future. This is a defining moment. And James Hansen, who's the chair of NASA Goddard Institute for Space Studies, he predicted in 2008, if temperature rise exceeds 3 degrees, we will not be able to stop global warming. 3-degree rise guarantees disaster, and it's because up north in the permafrost is full of frozen methane. Methane is over 20 times more powerful as a greenhouse gas than carbon dioxide. There's more methane buried in the Arctic permafrost than there is carbon buried on our planet. We have less than 10 years to limit our emissions, and we must reduce our carbon dioxide, get it below the 350 ppm. Venture capital versus clean energy. We know in the 1990s, information technology, venture capital came in and we had a huge growth. We had huge areas of productivity. We had $80 billion in venture capital in the 90s. We have $5 billion for energy. If $5 billion had been lost in the 1990s, nobody would even bother to have picked it up. Reason people don't want to invest in clean energy is that the price is not guaranteed. If the price of oil goes up, clean energy is the way to go, then the price of oil comes down and the companies go bankrupt and then you lose your investment. Existing buildings. In a commercial building, the largest part, from having done a lot of heat loss gain calculations, is conditioning the outside air that you have to bring into a building to keep the indoor air quality high. We have a very simple solution. It's called an energy recovery ventilator, and you can put it onto any rooftop unit, you can put it onto any inside unit. It just costs a few more dollars. We could save 25 to 50% of the heating and cooling costs of a building through the use of energy recovery ventilators. We also have, of course, insulation, controls, boilers, chillers, and the rest of it. In insulation, commercial buildings, it's much less than your private homes. That's all I'll say right now. And lighting. This one building, St. Catharines, I've been working with, they have removed over 500 fluorescent light bulbs from the building because they're in areas they don't need them. When the lighting was designed by the engineer, he doesn't know where you're going to use the lighting, how much you need. Afterwards, you can take them out. 500 light bulbs are no longer using energy in that building. New buildings. We have to update our building requirements over the Ontario Building Code. The present requirements are not there to build high-efficiency buildings. We already have a model in LEED buildings. Orientation and shading of buildings. If you have a building designed by an architect and the contractor puts it in any old location, depending how the street goes, some of it's good, some of it's bad. If you get all your large windows facing west, your air conditioning costs are going to be really high. Bicycle, walking friendly, our town should be restructured. And here's climate engineering solutions. Here's the best of the lot. We may get an increase of 7 watts per square meter by 2100. We're now at 3 watts per square meter. Sulfur dioxide, we mentioned acid rain, cools the earth. Some people are saying, well, let's fix all airline gas so that all the airplanes flying up high will start spewing out sulfur dioxide into the stratosphere. Yeah, it'll cool the earth, and they figure that's good for about 4 watts per square meter, but it has to be replenished constantly. Another one is orbiting space mirrors. We'll put all these mirrors out in space, and that'll deflect the sun away. What cost, how many? To me, that seems, this is one of the best. We can scrub carbon dioxide out of the air and bury it. We have machines, been in small, that we can do that. Figure that the height, we can get 1.9 watts per square meter. Turning agricultural waste into charcoal and burying it, that's good for 0.4 watts per square meter. We don't have the technology. Imagine a world without coral, without fish, where rivers only run in rainy season. Our lives begin to end the day we become silent about things that matter. Martin Luther King, Jr. We're not doing enough. I'm not doing enough. And sorry, you're not doing enough. And our leaders, whether they be in cities, provincial, federal, are definitely not doing enough. Don't be silent. If you think that you're too small to make a difference, consider trying to go to bed with a mosquito. Thank you.